This video is about plants making noises when something bad is happening to them. This is research in a paper that was published in March 2023 out of Tel Aviv University in Israel. And it was there that a group of scientists looked at plants with microphones. What these microphones picked up were noises coming from the plants when they were in a bad state. They were picking up ultrasonic noises, so human ears can't detect ultrasonic noises. Another example of an ultrasonic noise is a dog whistle that most humans can't hear, but the dogs definitely can. So looking at this graph, the scientists looked at two different types of plants. They looked at a tomato plant and a tobacco plant, and they looked at the plants under two different stresses. They looked at it when it was cut, where they cut the plant at the base of the stem, put it next to the microphone, and they looked at the plant when it was dry, when they stopped watering the plants. The self-control group is a healthy plant. It's not cut, it's watered, and comparing the two groups, you can see these noises and the noises per hour that the plant is producing when they're in these stress states. And on top of that, looking at the noises themselves, these are noises that are more of like a pop or a chirp. They last much less than a second, they're very quick, and the noises themselves are unique. The noises of the tomato plant are different from the tobacco plant. The noises of the cut state are different from the dry state. They looked at dehydrated plants of corn, of wheat, of a type of grape plant, and all of these plants are making different noises, unique noises, meaning that if you had all these plants in a greenhouse, put a microphone up there, you would hear like a orchestra of different noises coming from these different plants, different instruments playing different sounds, saying which plant is dehydrated. The scientists are citing in this paper some different studies that have been conducted over the past couple decades of plants responding to noises. So these are studies where artificial noises are being blown at the plant, and they're measuring what the plant responds to it. One example is a plant hearing a type of noise and it starts to grow its roots deeper in search for water. Or another type of noise is they projected a noise and its immune response came up through the plant in order to fight off infection. Or it could hear a noise of an insect chewing on it and then respond by producing compounds that make the plant less enticing for the insects, so it stops eating it. These are papers that are, again, of different studies showing how plants respond to artificial noise. And then within this paper, they talk about these plants producing the noises. So combine the two, you have this idea that a plant can produce a noise and another plant can respond to that noise. If you have one plant making a noise, back to the tomato being dried out, it starts making a noise, and its buddy to the right of it hears that noise and says, okay, he's starting to die over here because he doesn't have enough water. I got to search for more water. So it starts to grow deeper roots in response to the noise that it's hearing. Beyond plants, you have other organisms that can hear these noises. They cite in the paper how moths can hear these ultrasonic frequency. It has the sensitivity to hear these noises. And a moth lays its eggs in tomato plants. If it's hearing these noises from a tomato plant saying that I'm about to die, the moth can respond by saying, I'm not going to lay my eggs here. I'm going to lay my eggs over in a plant that's healthy, that's not making these noises, and learn from these things, adapt from these things. And this concept of communication between not only plant to plant, but plant to insect, plant to whatever, is this form of communication that is, again, we can't hear, but something that these other species can respond to, which is, really interesting. So I want to quickly talk about what the scientists hypothesize is the source of these noises. So they think it's coming from what are called the tracheids within the plant. Think of the tracheids as like the blood arteries of the plant, but instead of moving blood from our heart to the different organs and tissues that need it, it's moving water from the root system up to the rest of the plant so it can grow. And it's when this water flow isn't healthy and not a consistent flow that these air bubbles start to form. So if a plant gets cut at its stem and can't get water from its root system, then the water flow gets disrupted. These air bubbles form, and that's the popping, chirping noises that these microphones are picking up. They present some data, back it up in the paper, cite some other sources as well. I'm trusting them for sure on this one. And I kind of first thought, okay, this isn't as cool as like the plants speaking to each other or talking to each other. It's kind of just a response to their environment. But I got over that fact when I started thinking about how we respond to our environment at times. When somebody makes you genuinely smile, or when you're in pain and you grimace, or when you yell when you're in pain. And those are your auditory signals that, in a way, we don't necessarily have conscious control over. They're just involuntary responses to our environment. And it's our form of communication, similar to how these plants have their forms of communication. Forms of communication to tell other plants to grow your root system deeper, or to tell the moth, don't lay your eggs here, even if they're not even meaning to say that directly. But whatever it is, they're communicating in a way out to the world for whoever can hear them. I just want to close out this video with thinking about that idea, thinking about these ways that nature is communicating with each other within the different species within them. And first off, just props to these scientists for looking at this in the first place. We can use this as humans, for example. They speak in the paper about, if you put these microphones into a greenhouse, you can start to hear the plants more accurately. You can understand whether they really need water or not, and then conserve water irrigation through that pattern. On top of that, it's just the recognition that these plants are surviving on their own. Plants can't move, right? And plants want to survive. When we're thirsty, we go up and get a glass of water, but plants got to figure it out a different way. And that is just something to keep in mind. I think when you're looking at plants, I know I did the day after looking at this research, and I hope all of that continues. I hope the research continues. Again, props to these scientists. Really great work, again, out of Tel Aviv University, and very good research. I'm glad it's being done.